Well, thank you all for hanging out. This is commonly known as the death slot at most conferences, between you and the end or between you and happy hour. And what you do at noon, we don't judge. So if you want it to be happy hour, it's on you. But what we're here to do today is have a conversation with Jim, with the mayor. And we're going to unpack some things and the evolution of Medvale has brought us to this point where we can be together and talk about things like a charter, as an example. But we're going to start with the town council. It's a group of advisors to Jim. And we met as we meet every month. We met this week in person, which is terrific. We've only been able to do that one other time, all of us in person.
Yeah.
That was last September in Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that really started the planning concept for how we've been able to progress so far, but it was still pretty squishy. So every month we get a little closer to more concrete, something that Jim can say, yeah, I feel good about this because he is the founder. It came out of his head to all of us, and we're there to provide perspective, really. So what's your perspective on the town council and where we're at today? What do you expect?
Mhm. Well, it's lonesome at the top. That's why you're here, in large part. And same for me. And I've never done this before. I don't know that anybody else really has. I'm not being apologetic or I don't feel incompetent, but it's good to have some trusted advisors to sit and talk to every month, if not more often. So it's very, at the very least, comforting. Uh, it might be very empowering to be able to bounce ideas off. And they're very representative of you. I've selected them because of that. There's good diversity. And so it is uh, wind beneath my wings to be able to say, tell me where I'm wrong. And they do. And what are we doing right? What can we do better? And so those folks that are the end users are awfully good for me to be partnering with. And it comes down to my decision. Probably more important than being the founder, I'm the financier. So, they'll come up with things, and uh, at some level, I say, do I want to put personal money into this? And what does success look like? How will I know there's a return on investment? But more importantly, is this creating something that is sustainable? I'm going to be 78 years old in September. So I'm going to die at some point. And this is going to outlast me the same as any other startup I've done. That they're built to do a lot of good for a lot of time, and that would be any different than this. And so, I have been very fortunate. And your interview with me on Tuesday, you'll see that out there, where Dave has had me do a deeper dive into this, and I've ended up with about $500,000 of mad money, uh, and I don't have kids, so
No, but
this
you've got us. So
I've got you. And maybe unlike kids, I've chosen my kids. And what a nice benefit for me. And so this is very well funded. The point being, now and we'll probably talk about this some more, but I don't want to subsidize operations, but I'm fine with making an investment in something that would do good for a long period of time. And you'll hear me maybe talk about one of the three things I want to work on within this calendar year is a better financial plan, better accounting, ways to do accruals. Is this an investment in something that's going to create benefit into the future, or isn't subsidizing stupid things that don't work very well. So if it operates at a profit, we can replace me. We can be very vibrant and vital for a long time. So maybe more than you knew before. This is what's nice about being here to uh, talk amongst friends about uh, things that go on in my mind that I'm sure are probably not very obvious to a casual observer.
Well, and also for everyone to make sure you know, the town council is comprised of Tom, AJ, Kyle, Bruce. I'm privileged to be the fifth, and when we gather, there's 6 people at the table, and we invested time on Wednesday to move forward on what started as a constitution, which we now call the charter, because constitution sounds a little high-minded right now, all things considered in Washington D.C. But I want to take one sidebar for a second. You talked about your investment. We all make an investment as well. $5,000 investment to be part of this organization. We're intensely interested in knowing what value you receive. So when you answer everything from Tiago's brief survey to dropping us a note saying, "Hey, I've got an idea," or "Could Medvale fill in the blank?" Um, that's showing us that you're receiving value, and that's the most important thing. Our goal, and I would look to the other council members, advisors, um, is that consistent with what we are intensely interested in? Nodding heads, yes. So please don't be shy. And if there's something that, if there's a ripple on your pond that doesn't feel good, let us know. Don't just keep it to yourself. So the investment goes 2 ways. Jim is invested and continues to, and we invest as well. And your time is an investment above all else. So we want to make sure that we're paying value to that as well.
Well, and I would say, Dave, too, that the town council, again, a metaphor for any other ideas about governance, I think is scalable. Is create an organization that you can grow into, so you get a little out ahead of the curve, and Medvale is going to be owned not by an outsider, but insiders, maybe a combination, maybe everybody, maybe it becomes a not profit. You'll decide that over time, but it's pretty well simple right now. But that we want that to change. And as I think Bo was saying here on Tuesday about succession planning, about building these private companies that don't go out and get outside capital and lose their soul in the process. And so that's that's what I like. That's how medical management turned out, being owned by the managers. Uh, I like that, where this is not going to get flipped. That's not historically a good way to provide value to society, let alone the people that are involved, the employees, for example. So the town council, I suppose it'll become a board, a real board, at some point that is has uh, fiduciary responsibilities. But we got the model to start getting good at that can morph over time and change as we change, and we are changing fast. And I've got a lot of examples about that. So I think we're built to be pretty flexible, but there's a structure in place that we can build upon.
Let's talk a little bit about the work that has been underway that really came to its culmination on Wednesday around what was the Constitution we now refer to as the Charter. It'll be something that you all will have access to soon. There's some refinement and putting finer points on some things, a little wordsmithing that needs to go on yet. But and by the way, when we're wordsmithing, we're each individually brilliant in our own minds. So we did keep it to a minimum, I will say. But so Jim, give us a download. You know, where did this idea start? Why did we have to have a constitution?
Okay. Medvale started the day that I sold MedMan. And not so much, again, as Bo was saying, in terms of finishing big, don't leave something, but go to something. So that was what I was doing, was going to the next phase of my life. We call it a 3.0. And in that process of trying to think of as much about uh, that third of my life as I spent about thinking about the middle day job life, is that reflected that I really like connecting people, finding folks like you, connecting with other folks I like, and ideas that I like. And so, why don't I make a living doing that? And this gave me the opportunity to create something totally from scratch that would do that. And on most days, I think it's working. Feel pretty awkward about it every day, but being here is certainly a lot of fun, for one thing, and also validating in the sense, okay, yeah, good people are coming here, and we're refining. Uh, Refining that all the way, but the evolution of this is from picking some people that I respected, having been in healthcare for 50 years, to bring them together. So these were friends of Jim initially, and thank God it's become friends of Jim's friends. And you guys, I've got to be careful how I say this, but you have better friends than I do, because some of you are the original friends. And as I say, had I not started this, I couldn't get into it. So uh, I feel pretty lucky about having been on the first tranche of this. Uh, as it got bigger than I thought, and it's not big. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but it's got some complexity that has outgrown the original model of some friends sitting around talking about how we can help each other. Fundamentally, that hasn't changed, but the complexity has. And so there's questions that come up. Now, what is the value proposition? What is the,
Really,
uh,
what's our purpose?
yeah, or what's your exit strategy, Jim? Or uh, all these things, mission, vision, value. I don't know. It's all kind of in my head someplace. And so I get these questions that I organically understand the answer to, but I've never had to write it down because it was just a circle of buddies, basically. Now it's not. And so that requires an attempt to try to get that on not one piece of paper, but maybe one document. So it's been uh, mixed up like a dog's breakfast. A little piece of it over here, some of it here, and that. So it's been quite a brain teaser to try to bring all this into something. And for lack of a better name, I called it a constitution, and that's not a very good name. So uh, the town council, we changed the name to the charter. And I'm loading a bunch of stuff in there. It's kind of nice because right now I can refer to one of three documents. It's still not, my world isn't into one computer screen, but you can get to it off of three. The charter that talks about kind of the fundamentals of the why. But then we have a little bit of the how, and that we, for lack of a better term, we've been calling it a one pager because it is on one page. Is how do you describe this to a prospect? because what's come out of our discussions at the town council recently is that we have all this cute way of referring to this as a small town, coming from Wendell, Idaho. It's just a good visualization for me, but it doesn't mean anything to someone that you might refer to me, because we got all this speak, Medvale speak. We got our own language, and that's hard to market. So we have on the one pager this in plain English
It's
as
kind of
to
Medvale explained.
yeah.
Really.
Let's call it that.
So this is how town council meetings go. Just so you know. Hey, look, a squirrel.
Yeah. So Medvale Explained is the second document that is in English as opposed to our own language, MSpeak, and then the third document is a plan. So thinking of why, how, what, and so the what is the plan, and the town council has been beating me up, in not so kind of a way about
I
the.
represent that remark.
Yes, you do represent it. Tom represents it.
I tried to get you off the hook, man.
I appreciate
It's okay.
trying to take a bullet.
He can't hit me up here on camera.
He is the chief flogger.
He is the chief flogger. It's
Oh,
true.
yeah, he does a good job of that. And so the M plan is then taken. Okay, the Constitution, we used to call it the manifesto. Now it is the Medvale Explained. Now the plan, and what we haven't done is a long-term plan like 2027, 2030. And so we've kind of been doing this one planning cycle at a time, and that's not such a good idea. It kind of gets us by, but we need to take a longer term vision of this, and so we are doing that. The things that I'm working on right now, by the way, are three things: uh, growth, finance, and defining the Medvale way. Now, on the finance, on the growth, that means more members, and uh, what we've done is spiraled up in terms of the members that we're looking for. And the way I describe it is kind of like we do in YPO, the Young Presidents Organization, CEO level people. Certainly, we want to welcome senior C-suite and other influencers. So that's not cast in concrete that you got to have a CEO after your level, but you need to be able to set strategy and execute that strategy. We're looking for influencers who can make an impact. And I think by definition, that's how this plays out. And so a lot of my friends, when I put this together, were manager levels. And then Medvale used to say, well, can I have my front office supervisor fit into this? They need help. And the answer was yes. Wrong answer, but we did bring in people who were at the management level, and now it's all executive, and that's taken a lot of work, and that has caused Medvale to shrink. We have fewer Medvaleistas than we did before, but we have more uh, executives who can make impact, and now we're at that core because, frankly, um, this is about the first time I felt that I could bring all of you together and you'd truly feel like peers. You say, okay, they deserve to be here. That wasn't the case when we had front office managers here. And so a huge change. I think that's going to serve us well, and that'll cause us to be bigger. So as much as I talk about this being a beautiful small town, I want it to be bigger. we've said, I think we can imagine it being 150. I wish more people were in the room, but we've right-sized it so we can right-size it. And so as much as I talk about small is the new big, I don't want that to be interpreted that I don't want us to be larger. You're telling me you want to be larger. You want to have a bigger talent pool to reach out to, and we're going to do that. We've got some ideas that Dave's going to 150. Yeah,
Right. We're about 35 right now, I think is the number, right?
yeah. But more important is, how many, what's the financial model? And it is to have, we used to call them the inclusive HOAs. So the evolution is it was free, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 that is inclusive because we want people to come to our events, for example. And let's make that easy instead of nickel and diming them. It's just not my personality to, oh, you want a dolphin tank? Let's see, that'll be $2,000. Oh, you want a flash collaboration? That's 1,000. Oh, you want to come to Sun Valley? That's 3,000. It just it seems like a bad way to uh, run a railroad.
We're not going to double overnight, friends. I mean, but I will take this opportunity to say that I'm throwing down to all of us that no later than October, each person here provides Jim 2 candidates that you'll say they're worth my reputation in this group.
You should have told me that earlier.
And
To save my 6.
well, I was going to get, see, I was going to brag on you, but not now because you kept talking. But each of us should be able to do that. If I can't pull across 2 highly qualified humans that I would put my stamp on, then I shouldn't be here. So that's the challenge. Bring it forward. Send it directly to Jim, please. That'd be great. Well, we're really excited for everybody to see the output from our work,
No.
and you give us feedback. But it's far more than we had before. And I believe that it's not quite small enough to make it a forearm tattoo, but we got it down to a single page. And you can pull those bullet items out.
Well, and let me just go back to the 150.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we do have a little smithing to do on it on the word side, and it will be out in Slack very soon. We just need to finish up some of the notes that we took the other day. I would have done it yesterday, Angela, but we were on a hike,
Yeah, we have it. It was cussed and discussed on Wednesday.
Did ChatGPT write it or did you guys write it?
Ched, what?
What's that? Dave took the last look at it, and it really looks pretty good. So we're ready to go prime time. I just want to go back to the 150. There is something a little magic about that, or it's evidence based as what looks to be as big as a tribe can be. How many people can you bring into an entity and have them accountable to each other, and maybe knowing their first name? So that there's a lot of companies that cut things off at 150 and then just start another one. So would we start another town at 75 or at 150? Because I think the beauty of this is I'm hearing this is the intimacy, and that can be a problem. And again, going back to Bo Burlingham saying in his book that some of you grabbed is Small Giants, those companies that decide to be great instead of big. So I think that's us. And I don't think we're ever going to be a big city. I wouldn't be very good at it. Now, the new leadership after I'm gone may feel differently. That would be fine. But small towns, I understand. I don't understand and not very good in bigger organizations.
Jim, that really leads to another topic that we've received feedback from, I think, almost everyone over time. and that you've put on the table, and other members of other advisors on the council have said we really need to come around. What is a club? Because I think that's also difficult to describe. You know, well, oh, you're in Medvale and we put you in a club. It's like, what? You what? And to quote Groucho Marx, frankly, I wouldn't want to be part of any club that would have me as a member. So it may be a little difficult for us to propagate that to a candidate. So why don't you weigh in a little bit on the current thinking, where we're heading, and maybe some of the opportunities for change.
Clubs are something that we came up with, just again influenced by Tom's experience with Vistage, my experience with YPO. We have versions of that. We call them something different, but that's where a lot of the magic is in small group discussions, and that's what we get our best grades for, as we ask you what's important to you. Excuse me.
Bless you, my son.
And so I don't think we've quite got this right yet, and we have clubs that are quite general. We have some that are more specific, and I'm kind of confused as to what's best. I could argue either way. And so we have the club presidents club that Tom is the club president of. And so we get together on a regular basis and share better practices. And so there are those discussions going on. And I think we're going to get this figured out. But, should we move people around clubs? Because there's something very consistent going on here. And that is, we're hearing from Medvaleistas, they want to have more interactions outside of their club. They, for the most part, are satisfied with the club experience, but that's not quite enough now that they're seeing Maria introduce a new member. Oh, I want to know that person, but they're not probably going to be in my club. So how do I do that? So our investment in Slack, again, we have used Medvale speak here to call it the town square where you can find anything out. I think it's going to be part of the solution. I think it is becoming that. Look at all the conversations we're having there here at Sun Valley this week. But should we mix the clubs up every year? Should we keep them in place for a career? Because those are pretty deep relationships that you create, and that doesn't happen all of a sudden, or just by luck. So I'm kind of confused about it.
Well, think of the cross pollination that goes on here. How do we replicate that without jumping on airplanes every month? Some people do anyway, but we'll just follow Angela around the country, and it'll be easier that way. But the magic and the feedback that we've gotten from all of you here is face to face, in person. That's where it's at. I found my people. We've heard that more often. I think thematically here, I found my people effectively. Different words from different people. That's really the vibe. But that's not a club. We're an entity with some places where people with certain things in common or interests can come together frequently, virtually, and then being in person is important too. And we want to touch on the frequency of in person as well before we sign off on this segment today. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you where we are, because we've experimented with that, and certainly have come back around to going from external to internal focus. And I'm very comfortable with that. Is that we are being paid by you folks. That's our only source of revenue, and so you are the clients. So we're going to take care of you. And if that transcends to some good out there, And so Dave's Medvale media part of Medvale is a way to blast that out. So we're not opposed to helping other people, but we're probably not going to come up with an advocacy. There's other people that do that better. What can we be the best in the world at? And that's all that we ought to focus on. And we're not going to be the best at changing American healthcare. There's others that are better funded, for one thing. And do we? Do you want part of your $5,000 going to mission kind of work, to influence others? And for the most part, I think I'm hearing that you don't. So, can we change American healthcare one clinic, one community, one healthcare leader at a time? Yes, we can. Beyond that, I'm not quite so sure.
Steve, you bring up an important point, and it's not only in the charter in a couple of different ways, but also you'll see it in the one pager, or the Medvale Explained, as we now call it. It's to help you create greater impact. And then where you personally take that might be very different from where Angela takes it. But we want to be hyper focused on each of us to be those impactful leaders outside of Medvale.
You decide how you want to change America, and we'll help you. But we're going to do it through you.
I appreciate that comment, though, because we've wrestled with it. So Jim, we're going to keep one of our basic tenets and stay on time with this segment so that we can stick to the agenda. We've got about 8 minutes left. What would you want to leave all of us with today? And if there's a moment or two more, we'll take a couple of questions.
Okay. Well, out of the Physician Executives Club meeting on Monday, this came up, and one of the ideas that I'm going to do is this micro collaboration, what we call our meetings, and that is the idea of matching up one Medvalista from one club with another one from another club and say, why don't you get together, uh, connect on your own, have a 15-minute conversation. So we're getting a lot of grassroots ideas. Speaking of grassroots, so keep them coming up. A lot of them happens with the one-to-one annual interview I have with you to get the feedback, how you doing. So that's very helpful. And we're Maria has now put the Medvale News out into Town Square, and so you can be able to comment to that. So I want to make sure that we're using technology to get a lot of communication done up and down, and certainly sideways. And I don't want to apologize for us being out on the bleeding edge of change. We're making a lot of changes. It's a very disrupted or disruptible industry that we're in. And so, as I mentioned, going from managers to elevating up to executives has been difficult, but it's certainly a big change. We've gone from a global company to a U.S. company because I think that adds more value to our typical Medvalistas. We've gone from externally interested to internally make the external changes, but do it through Medvalistas. And it wasn't that long ago we didn't have a single female. And so we have certain guidelines that I keep thinking about is who do we need to bring in. So we'll continue to do that. We've changed the mix from having a lot of sellers to buyers quotient to having that more level. We put in a non-solicitation policy. So we are rocking. And I'm afraid that looks like confusion to you. I guess it kind of is redefining who we are. And then I want to let you know the take home for me from listening to Bo try to eat his pretzels and while he was talking. is that uh, is that transparency seemed to be something that happens in the sustainable companies. So now with the beauty of Town Square, a very public place, you can go in, you'll see our financials. You will see the charter, you'll see all of our documents and can comment on them. So we're going to leverage technology to make this little town work that I think is going to be important to you. But maybe in closing, to be sober about how much I can do. And I'm putting in 80 to 100 hours every week. Doesn't seem like it because I love it. I'm doing what I love with people that I love, and this is the beauty of this life that I've created for myself is I can pick my friends, and I am, and it is working out so well. I really have total flexibility. I have control over my time. So this does not seem like a job to me. It's just, I've had such a fortunate life. And this is the best period of my life ever. And that's the way it ought to be. Because when you don't have a traditional day job, you have so much flexibility. And I'm celebrating that. And so, um, but that's got limitations, and it's going to be up to you. You control this more than I do. There's more of you, and you'll decide what Medvale, how vibrant and robust it is. For we've had uh, clubs that just haven't thrived. I've shut them down. Because the mix wasn't right, the people, the leadership of it, and so I can, I'll do a lot, but I'm getting very sober about the limitations of that, and that's good for all of us, good for me, and my family, but certainly Medvale's going to do a lot more. And Dave threw down the gauntlet of help with recruiting. I'm tapped out. All the people I know, I've gone after. Now it's up to you. It's up to you as to how vibrant your club experience is, how whether you come to our events or not. So we need a lot of participation, and it's going to be up to you more than it is to me.